Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas. Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado.
Because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Hello, everyone. I'm Alicia.
And I'm Nathan.
Welcome to episode 50 of Adventures and Mousecapades.
This week, we're going to recap the epic quarterfinal round from the World Cup in Qatar and discuss all the goings-on, all of the penalty kicks, all the yellow cards. Just, there was a lot happening. So, Alicia, you ready to dive into this?
This will be a very one-sided conversation since I have not been watching the World Cup at all.
I don't know. I'm not a huge soccer fan, but I've been really enjoying all the matches. It's been fun.
Yeah,
So-
it's fine. I don't have a problem with that. It's fine to watch. I'm just not there.
It's okay. All right. Well, thanks for joining everybody this week, and we'll talk to you next week.
This week we are talking about our Mexican Riviera double dip in 2017.
Indeed. This was nearly a triple dip, if memory serves.
We initially had this booked as a back-to-back-to-back trip.
Yeah.
Starting from... Actually, I was looking back at my emails. It initially started out on September 22nd, going through October 5th. And then I changed it. So the first leg actually became something else. Like I changed it. So it didn't start on the 22nd. It started on the 24th.
Right.
And then went through to October 9th or something, or 7th. I don't know. It's like a 2-day I had moved on. But we decided, maybe we shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I think that would have been a little bit much for my folks who were watching the kids. So we only did 2 cruises instead of 3.
Yes.
And you're welcome, Mom and Dad, for our discretion.
One thing that did remain the same is we had a 7-night followed by another cruise.
Yeah, by a 4-night.
By a 4-night, yeah.
So we ended up we still had effectively an 11-night cruise out of San Diego down the Baja Peninsula, Mexican Riviera cruises. They were amazing. This was such an amazing trip, and really, it was kind of the start of our very epic vacationing.
Yes.
With Disney, with just Alicia and I, because this is where we met folks who have really become some of our best friends. And we met Bill and Rachel and just had the time of our lives. And I guess we can say they're good influences / bad influences, depending on your point of view, because our adulting on Disney trips has definitely gone to a new level since we met them, and definitely started on this trip. We had so much fun. We flew down to San Diego from Seattle on a Saturday on the 23rd in September. And we had a morning flight. It was nice and easy. It wasn't super early. We had plenty of time. We got in a little after 1 o'clock, I think. And the airport in San Diego was right near downtown. It was super convenient. Just really take an Uber or a Lyft or whatever, a taxi. We were staying at the Wyndham San Diego Bayside, which is literally across the street from where the Wonder pulls in. I remember we dropped off our bags. It was super busy. I don't remember what was going on.
Probably a convention or something. I don't know.
It was some convention. It wasn't Comic-Con. But the hotel was slammed.
Yeah.
There were long lines for check-in and everything else. Like it was, I think we found out like our room was over in like an adjunct wing of the building, or kind of like an add-on building that had its own check-in counter. And so we had to wait, through 2 lines a little bit, but it worked out really well. It wasn't really horrible. And literally the room where we stayed faced the water. And I woke up early the next morning just because I did. And I went outside. I didn't want to wake up Alicia. it was like 6:15 or something like that when I went outside. And the Wonder came into port shortly thereafter. And so I have this series of pictures of the Wonder pulling in, and it docked literally like dead right in front of me. It's so cool. I love how that worked out. It's like pixie dust from Wyndham.
One thing I will say, if you are ever wanting to surprise your family or kids or whatever with a Disney cruise trip and you're going out of San Diego, I highly recommend getting a room at the Wyndham San Diego Bayside, because I've seen just especially from like Facebook posts from these cruises that we were on, there's a lot of people that surprised their kiddos. Like they'd wake up in the morning and say, oh, what we're going to do on vacation is right on the other side of the windows. And the kids are like, what? Open up the windows and the Wonder is right there. And, you know, there's all these freak outs and everything. It's a great place to do surprises if you want to do that.
That's so cool. The other thing we did after we got checked in, I don't think the room was ready right away. I think we had to leave our bags with bell services or whatnot. But we walked down the pier a little bit and went to the USS Midway Museum, which is an old World War II aircraft carrier. It's docked right there on the water and has all sorts of airplanes and all sorts of other stuff all throughout the hangars. That was really neat. I
cool.
enjoyed geeking out. Alicia, did you enjoy it a little bit?
I enjoyed it a little bit. Yeah, it was. I mean, it's always neat. I don't understand anything really military related or any of that. I don't pay attention to it. It's not something that I ever really dove into as a kid that piqued my interest. Like Egypt, yeah sure. That's like Egypt mythology, pharaohs, all that stuff. I will dive into that. But this, it's cool to see and it's very interesting to learn more about, but I just don't know the history of it. It was, however, it's gorgeous. It's really cool to look at all this stuff and learn more about it.
It was a great way to spend the afternoon. Yeah.
We have a great picture of you sticking your head in the jet blast prop of, is that what that is?
Yeah,
of a plane.
Basically in the business end of a military jet engine.
Yes, yes.
You know, as you do.
With the sign above that says, beware of jet blast props and
exactly.
motors. Yeah.
Yeah. So after the Wonder pulled in, eventually Alicia woke up, and then we went out to breakfast with our good friends who moved from Seattle down to the SoCal area, and we went to a place called Richard Walker's Pancake House.
Wait. Eventually I woke up.
Yeah, I mean, eventually you slept in. It was vacation. It was a weekend. Late. You slept in.
No, wasn't that late. I think we had to get to the Pancake House pretty early just because there's always a very long line there. I think we met people at around maybe 8:30 or so.
Yeah.
That's not that late. I mean, I had to get up and get ready.
I was up at 6. Eventually you woke up.
Eventually I woke up. Sure. Okay. Yes.
Anyhow, this restaurant was amazingly good food.
It was very good.
It does still exist. They have a bunch of places all over the Southern California, San Diego area. Richard Walker's Pancake House. Look it up. Good food. Highly recommended.
There's a tree outside of the restaurant that people have carved their initials in. And it's right where people are lining up. So we were by this tree for a while and we were looking at it. And there's an A and an N in a heart there. So we took a picture of that.
It wasn't us. We didn't do it. Yeah, but we approve.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was good to see our friends, and then we got back to the room and left about 11 o'clock, walked across the street, and kind of right into the check-in queue and got all sorted out and some pictures with Pluto, and then got right onto the ship. Always nice to get onto the Disney Wonder. This is our favorite ship and was going to be our home for the next 11 nights. So
we were in a category 5C room in the aft of the ship. Is a deluxe ocean view with a veranda, and it is room number 6108. And we had booked this for both of the cruises. One of the nice things about doing this on a back-to-back cruise is if you're in the same room, you do not have to pack everything up. You do have to debark the ship in between the cruises, but you don't have to pack all your stuff up.
Yep. I don't know how they're doing that with back-to-backs right now with all the COVID stuff. I guess maybe since they're not doing testing anymore, you can probably just leave everything as is. I think there was a while with the pandemic, since you had to retest to get back on,
Yes.
you did have to disembark and take all your stuff with you because you may not be getting back on. But this was the easy way. And unlike our first attempt at back-to-back, which also was here in San Diego, we got right back on later on. So it was nice and easy. But I digress. That is a week ahead at this point. We'll get back to our first cruise here. And of course, we got on. And then what we like to do, lots of people love to go up to cabanas and hang out or go up on deck. We go to the sit-down lunch on embarkation day. And it was in Triton's, which is one of our favorite places on the Wonder. So a beautiful lunch was had. And it was really nice to be settling back into the Disney cruise life, I will say.
Yes.
We both very much needed a vacation.
Yep. And it looks like, shocker, you got a carrot cake for dessert for lunch.
Heck yeah. As you do.
We did all the, normal stuff you do when you get on. You have the muster drill, and I don't know if we went to the sail away party or not. We don't have pictures of that. We do have some pictures of some nice sailboats out on the water.
Indeed. It's a nice racing sailboat.
Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Okay. There's a bunch of people on it.
Yeah. It's probably kind of like what we did down in St. Martin with a sailing regatta. In fact, I think I kind of remember seeing that they have that as an option down in San Diego with kind of an America's Cup class yacht.
Nice. So after the sail away party, it's pretty soon after that is like the first show. I don't know if we went to it or not. Sometimes we do go to the shows, but after that was dinner, of course. And dinner for our first night was at Animator's Palette.
Yes. And we had second seating.
Yes, we had second seating. Yeah.
Yeah, we got there and it was just the two of us, and Disney in their magic had us at a table with a bunch of other people, which isn't necessarily a problem. We enjoy having that company during meals and meeting new people. And this turned out to be a very special dinner table. And there were 4 couples. I think we were the only folks who even had kids. Everybody else did not.
I think that's
right.
right.
We were all within, I don't know, 5 or 6 years in age. I think the total spread was really tight. We were all basically in our 30s. And yeah, we hit it off. And it was
the whole table.
Yeah, it was amazing.
great.
The chemistry of everybody was so great. And I'm so thankful that Bill and Rachel decided to go to dinner. I remember talking to them afterwards, subsequently, and they like to skip those dinners a lot because if they're not cruising with a bunch of other people, they'll just go off and do dinner and wherever on their own. And they showed up, and I am so grateful that they did because it is a friendship that started right then and has lasted and will last. It's just so great.
Yeah, there were 2 couples from Florida, a couple from Texas, and us. Was that it, or was there another couple in there somewhere?
No, that
too?
was it. It was 8.
Okay.
We're not going to run down every single thing that we ate on the cruise, but we'll hit some highlights. I really loved they had a sliced Serrano ham plate, kind of a little mini charcuterie plate with some cheese and some bread with an olive tapenade on it. It was really good. Animator's Palette, this menu also has the baked potato and cheddar cheese soup that I love. It was really good. Alicia, I know you have a highlight from this meal as well.
Yes. So I love the black truffle pasta persets. I am so happy when we go to Animator's Palette and I can order those. They are just delicious. It is a burst of yummy flavor on my tongue. And I see that I, of course, ordered the Captain's Mai Tai, which was the drink of the day.
I think I had a wine package that I ordered.
Probably.
Alicia doesn't typically drink wine. I do with dinner. And so I will order a 4-bottle package for a 7-night cruise. And if you don't finish a bottle, they will hold it for you. It will be available for you at your next rotational restaurant the following evening to finish it off. So that is really kind of nice. I don't have to like drink a whole bottle of wine by myself every night. And yeah, it's a really nice feature of how Disney has their dining set up.
Yep. And I notice I'm looking through our pictures here. There is a picture of a deconstructed carrot cake. And I'm remembering a trip report we did not too long ago about your deconstructed carrot cake at Animator's Palette and how unimpressed with it you were.
Mm-hmm.
I realized this was many years ago. Mm-hmm. Do you remember this being, or do you remember anything about this one? It looks quite different from what you had on our most recent cruise.
It does look very different. I think I was surprised by it. It wasn't as amazing as a regular carrot cake, but I did enjoy it. I think it's very surprising in its presentation. Mm-hmm. It has kind of 2 circles of carrot cake, if you will, just kind of the cake on it. And then it has some frosting dollops or something like that. It's a no sugar added dessert. So it's not super sweet, but yeah, I enjoyed it from what I can recall. I don't remember having the, we'll call adverse reaction or negative reaction, if you will, to this one that I did to the most recent deconstructed carrot cake. And I definitely need to learn my lesson and probably steer away from the deconstructed carrot cakes in the future.
I think we'll probably remember that.
Yes, now we will.
Now we
will
yes.
for sure.
Yeah. Tail animal for that evening was a swan.
Indeed.
And we had a note that we needed to move our clocks forward an hour for that night.
Yes.
For some reason, I don't know why we did this, but you punched all the towel animals.
I don't know. This is where Sterling gets it from.
Yeah, probably.
I don't.
I'm sure he saw you doing a video of it and he's like, oh, I must do it too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know what came over me. It just became a thing for this cruise.
Yeah.
The swan just looked like it needed to be punched, and so I did.
I guess. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I see on this one they are serving the Godiva chocolates instead of the Sleepy chocolates. I don't know when they started that, but I see that they're the Godiva ones.
Yeah.
The next day we had Apollo brunch at around 10 in the morning. Yes, this was a sea day. Yeah. We don't have any pictures of the food from that. It's Apollo brunch, and I love Apollo brunch. I'm sure this was the buffet style. Actually, of course, it was the buffet style. It was before the pandemic.
Yeah. We were too busy eating to take pictures, so
yes.
Suffice to say, it was good.
And I see that they did leave the sugar on the table so we could have our choices of sugar for the tea.
Indeed.
No.
As they're supposed to do. Yeah, as you may recall, if you listened to that episode, this was one of our points of concern, we'll call it, on our most recent cruise on the Fantasy, where we had some not good experiences with a server in Palo who just was missing many details like this.
Yeah. This also happens to be a Halloween on the High Seas cruise that we were on, where Disney just decks the ship out in Halloween decor. There is a pumpkin tree that is available just in the atrium of the ship. And it's really neat because it's bare. Like there's nothing on it. It's just a bare tree, just branches. And the kids will plant pumpkin seeds one evening. And then the next day, the tree sprouts and has jack-o'-lanterns all over the branches. It's really cool.
Yeah, it is really neat. That night we had dinner at, let's see, where did we go? We were at, no, that's wrong.
We were at Tiana's.
We were at Tiana's.
Yes. I love Tiana's.
Yeah. And of course I asked her my favorite question to ask Tiana, which is why there are no frog legs on the menu.
She got mad at you.
Mm-hmm. She got very, very mad at me.
Yes. She was aghast at your question.
Yeah, well, as you do. Mm-hmm. Later that night, we stopped by
Cadillac.
Yeah, it was Cadillac Lounge. We hung out in Cadillac Lounge
A lot.
almost every night.
Yeah, we like
on
Cadillac.
this cruise.
Yep.
And I had a single malt Scotch flight, which was really, really good. They had an Oban Little Bay, a Talisker Dark Storm, and a Lavagulin 16-year. All of these were very, very nice. And they had a very nice board that they all came on. A presentation board, indeed. It was the Single Malt Club presentation board. And it was quite fancy. I enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah. And our towel animal that evening was a seal, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It got punched. It's fine.
Yes, of course it got punched. The next day was another sea day, and we were hanging out with folks, having a blast, I'm sure.
Yes.
Triton's for dinner. The highlights of Triton's are the baked brie appetizer, which I adore.
And the escargot,
And
which
Nathan loves the escargot.
I adore. Yes. I love this menu.
The next day was Puerto Vallarta.
Yes. So we started off with breakfast down in Cabanas just to, we kind of knew what we had ahead of us.
Yes,
we
knew
had
what we were in
done-
store for.
Yes, indeed. We have done this tour previously on our Panama Canal cruise. We did the Historic Towns and Tequila Making Tour, which is a bus tour around Puerto Vallarta. And it starts off at a tequila distillery.
Yes, and we convinced our table mates to join in
Yes.
on this excursion with us. I don't believe they had initially scheduled this one, but we convinced them to change and do this with us.
That is correct. That is correct. So we needed to carb up and get ready for the day
Yes.
because the day starts early on this tour. You hit the tequila distillery at about 9 a.m., 9:15 or so. And we have pictures of us taking our first shots of tequila at about 9:45, 9:30, 9:45, somewhere in there. And let's just say, dear reader, the drinking continued for many hours, many hours after this. And it
This
was
is
so fun.
This is a good distillery too.
Yes.
I mean, their tequila is delicious.
Yes, we are,
It's the good
I
stuff.
guess we could say notorious for buying many bottles here and having to buy another suitcase on the ship with which to get the bottles home.
Yes.
This was by no means an exception on this trip. We definitely stocked up when we hit Mama Lucia's. And yeah, it was so great to have the rest of our table mates there with us on that tour. It was so fun. We just, we had a great time.
Yep.
You have some time. The bus goes to a little town called Los Galleros. It stops in kind of the city plaza, and you have some chance to walk around and kind of take in the atmosphere of Mexican town. And let's see, one of the guys that was with us spoke Spanish, was super fluent. And so we went to a grocery store and stocked up. I think we got a couple 6-packs for the bus.
Not for the bus. You can bring them on the ship.
And the ship. Yes,
Yeah.
all the above. All the above. Well, I think the intention was that we'd bring those on the ship, but they didn't make it to the ship.
Ah, got it.
Because we wound up walking around the town, well, at least the town square, and having a few beers. And and then did we stop the bus to get some fresh tortillas?
I don't know. No, the bus. This was part of the tour. They will drive through different areas, different small towns, and because they've done this before. I remember this before on other ones that we've done, where they'll stop at basically a place that is making tortillas right in front of you, fresh tortillas.
Yep.
Which was, oh my gosh, so delicious. I love fresh tortillas.
Indeed. And the bus then heads back towards Puerto Vallarta and stopped at a local restaurant. And I am not huge on Mexican food typically, but This was just, it is the best Mexican meal I have ever had. Just the freshness of the food and the authentic ingredients was amazing. It didn't hurt that their margaritas were served in these gigantic like goblets. Like they'd show up and they were like a margarita for two, except they weren't technically for two. The table went through many of those.
Yeah.
In fact, we have some pictures of Rachel and Pedro having to like down the one last margarita that had come out to the table because we were ready to get back on the bus. And so
And you can't leave a glass full.
no,
there.
you can't leave it.
Yeah.
No, exactly. So
I will say, Nathan, I think you don't like Americanized Mexican food.
exactly.
I think actual Mexican food
Yes. Yes.
is very different.
We have a picture of an empty bottle of tequila that I remember Bill.
Oh, that went around the bus.
So
Yeah.
we had a bottle
Oh
from
my
Mama
gosh.
Lucia's of I think it was the Blanco. And it was so good. And of course, you can't take an open bottle of alcohol back onto the ship. And so it got passed around the whole bus. And
Take one down, pass it
take
around.
one down, pass it. Exactly. We had, yeah, it was a good time. That was kind of the end of the tour. I think we get back to the ship we got back around 2:00. I think we stayed out and partied a little longer. I think we're supposed to be back at 1. We were a little delayed, but no big deal. We walked over, there's a Walmart a couple blocks away that we went through and picked up some additional supplies from. This was back when when Snickers had their candy bars and they had all sorts of fun sayings on them that they were printing on them. And so we have these really amazing pictures of, Alicia has one that says punk on it. And I have one that says confundido, which is confused. Yeah, we were in the mood to have some fun and it was good. That night was pirate night. So of course we had chosen to schedule a Palo dinner that night and avoid the pirate night menu. Didn't take any pictures. Fantastic meal.
Pirate night isn't horrible. It's just not our favorite menu. So we try to do Palo if possible on those evenings.
Yep.
Yeah, we had, I don't know which towel animal. Oh, it was pirate night. So we had that weird Davy Jones one. I'm not sure what this is.
There was also a bat. We had two towel animals in the room. There was Davy Jones on the bed, and then there was this bat hanging on a hanger. And I don't know. We just work here. We had a bourbon tasting that evening as well. And I'm sure, of course, we also ended the evening, as we always did, in the Cadillac Lounge having a chocolate martini or two.
Probably, yeah.
Yes. We made really good friends with the bartenders on this cruise. And then we got some pictures of the fireworks and all sorts of fun stuff.
Yeah.
The next day we were at Mazatlan and we were going to do a city tour, but I don't think we were really feeling it. I remember talking to our friends and they had said there wasn't really a ton to do in Mazatlan, and we had had a very long day of drinking the day before. And so we opted out of the tour and just really kind of hung out on the ship that day.
Yep.
We still eventually got around to hitting a few bars here and there, but it was, we'll call it a slow day.
Yep. It was a slow day. We hit Animator's Palette that evening, and it was probably the show that night. Yes, it was the show that night.
It was.
If you're on one of the ships for a longer cruise, like a week long, you'll have a show at Animator's Palette where you'll fill out the piece of paper and write your name on it and your table, and then put a drawing in of a person.
Right, you get the animated cartoon.
Yeah, it's not on the shorter one. So if you're on a 3-day or a 4-day on the Wonder or Magic, they won't do the show. It's only on the longer cruises. Yep.
I didn't realize that. I would have thought that this would be like the default show that everybody gets.
I think they only do shows on the longer cruises for any of them.
Interesting. Well, live and learn.
Yep.
That night, our towel animal was Small. It was
I think it's a mouse.
Mouse? Sure.
I think so. I don't know.
It has a Mickey Mouse shaped red nose, which is kind of cute. And then two black eyes, but I don't know what this is. It's just a little thing. Mm-hmm.
It's a small, petite towel animal.
Yes.
It was actually a very good thing that we took it easy that day.
Yes. Because we did not take it easy the following day.
No. And the following day was Cabo San Lucas, and we switched our excursion.
Yes.
I don't remember what we had before, but we were convinced to go along with the other people at our table and do the harbor cruise and scenic stop.
It was effectively kind of like a little bit of a snorkeling on a sailboat kind of thing. Mm-hmm. It turned into a booze cruise. I remember we convinced the crew, the mate on the sailboat, to open the bar early. And I think Bill or one of the other people ended up tipping them early instead of at the end. We're like, no, we'll tip you now. And then like, oh, you're serious. Okay, bar's open. Let's go.
Yes.
Yeah. So again, we were drinking before 10, and we had so much fun. A little bit of sunburn, but it was okay. But it was great to be out next to the rocks and everything down the arch there at the on the Cape down in Cabo. And we just had so much fun hanging out with everybody on the boat, and having a drink or three here or there, watching the seals play around on the back of the boats as we were coming back into port. This was kind of a shortish cruise. Again, we were done by, I want to say like 11 or maybe just 12.
Close to 11. Yeah.
And then so we got off the dock, and about 20 feet away from the end of the dock was a bar. And that's where we went. And then all of a sudden it was like 3 hours later. It was really good food again. There was a lot of some drinks that were consumed, and man, we just had a blast.
You all had so much liquor. I had maybe a drink, but the rest, most of the rest of the party had a grand old time.
Yeah, we did. And then I don't know how Bill did it, but he got the bartender to sell him a bottle of Clase Azul Reposado tequila. This is one of the most amazing and beautiful tequila bottles you'll ever see. It's a ceramic bottle. It's hand painted. It's just absolutely gorgeous. That bottle goes for about $160 to $170 here. The tab at the restaurant / bar was, I want to say, about $180 for total for us having been there for 3 hours, for 2.5, 3 hours.
6 people.
Yeah, I don't know how he did it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kudos to Bill and his negotiation skills.
Or 7. We had 7 or 8 people there.
Yeah,
our whole table was there, so yeah, it was like 8 people.
Yeah, and then that bottle, unfortunately, did not make it to the boat. No. Rachel, we love her. She had a backpack on. The bottle was in the backpack, and she didn't stumble. She swears she didn't fall.
No, but she had a hard landing.
Here you go. She aggressively sat down, and the bottle broke. Yep. And it kind of snapped the top of it off. Mm-hmm. And then somebody I'm guessing Bill had the idea of, we can't let this stuff go to waste. And so we just started drinking the tequila out of the bottle.
Until I stopped you.
Yeah, out of the broken bottle. And we were like, people were coming by, because this was right outside security. People were coming by, and we were just we had to get rid of this. Like, hey, do you want some? Yeah. Do you want some? Yeah. And then Alicia, finally was the voice of reason and said, hey, there's some ceramic shards in the bottom. You guys are done.
Yeah.
So, wah.
If I remember correctly, I mean, we were in full view of the security guards.
Oh, yeah.
And they were egging us on.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, no shame. No shame there at all.
No.
And then we had to tender back to the boat. Mm-hmm. I'm fairly certain Bill lost his hat on his way back to the boat.
It's possible.
If memory serves.
It's windy.
And and then as soon as we got back onto the boat, we went to the adult pool and had a few beers at the bar in the adult pool.
Probably.
Yeah, it was a long day. We had dinner at Tiana's that night. It was beignet night.
It was beignet night. Was this the show night where they had the jazz?
Yeah.
Playing?
Yep.
I love that part about Tiana's. I really
because they've got the alligator
Lewis.
Lewis, that's right, walking around with his trumpet. And we have pictures of that.
The beignets at Tiana's are amazing.
Yeah, they are.
We had beignets there. Mm-hmm.
They're not Café du Monde, but they're really good.
Hot take. I don't really like Café du Monde's beignets.
There's a ton of sugar on those things.
It's not that. It's the frying of them. I can like taste the frying. I don't know how to say it.
The oil's a little old.
Yeah.
At least when we were there.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the Tiana's beignets were great.
Yes, they were.
So we enjoyed dinner and had a turtle towel animal that evening.
The next day, our last day on that cruise, was a bit of a slower day for obvious reasons. We had to pack. It was a sea day on our way back north. Oh,
did we?
Well, others had to pack. We did not have to pack. No. You're correct. And I know we did some pool drinking. I know we hit some bars here and there on the ship. We had just a ton of fun. I, for whatever reason, got a bee in my bonnet and shaved my full beard off, like completely. That was weird. I don't know.
You'd probably been imbibing a bit, and it seemed like a good idea at the time. I don't know.
It seemed like a good idea. Yeah. I remember we ended up doing dinner with Bill and Rachel at Palo that night. They added us onto their reservation. That was a great dinner. Let's see. Our towel animal that night was a crab roll. It was a roll.
It's a crab.
It looked like a crab-ish.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. It's a crab roll. This whole trip was just amazing.
It was very good. We quite enjoyed it. Mm-hmm.
It was so sad to see Bill and Rachel and the rest of the crew have to leave the next day. But we had made really good friends. I'm happy to list
them. I remember everybody.
Have at it. My memory is poor.
We had Bill, we had Rachel, we had Pedro, we had Jamie, and Josh. And I don't remember who Josh had with him. Did he have somebody with him? No.
He was there with friends.
You know what?
He wasn't at our table, though.
I was going to say, he was not at our table. The other couple that was at our table, I don't remember who it was. I remember what they looked like, but I don't remember who they were.
We still had so much fun. And then we did our back-to-back. So we had to get off for a little bit in the morning, got right back on. I do remember we went down to the pub right after we got on, and we were kind of like some of the first people there into the pub. And because I had shaved, and of course he's expecting a completely different set of people. Like the assistant bartender from Cadillac Lounge was working there in the pub and did not recognize us.
He didn't recognize you until I showed up next to you.
Right, exactly. Because I was like, trying to strike up a conversation, and he's like, "Oh, where are you from?" I was like, I'm from last night, and the rest of this, like, you don't remember?" He's like, "Oh my gosh."
You look very, very, very different with no facial hair.
100% different. This 4-night cruise, I think Alicia and I, at least I, like to call this kind of our detox cruise. We downshifted significantly from the previous 7 nights.
I didn't need to detox.
Okay, I did.
Yes.
I mean, we still closed off the night with a nightcap at Cadillac Lounge every night. But yeah, we slowed down a little bit.
Yep.
still enjoyed all of the meals, and I remember we had some good conversations with the folks at our dinner table, but it wasn't the same without Bill and Rachel and everybody else there. The first night we were back at Tiana's. Our towel animal that evening was
I don't know. This was a new one. I think you have it right. I think it's like some sort of Komodo dragon or lizard type thing. It doesn't quite look enough like an alligator to be an alligator. So I think that's a good guess. Komodo dragon.
Yeah, we'll go Komodo
lizard.
dragon.
Yeah.
And this 4-night was basically a day at sea, Cabo San Lucas, a day at sea, and then back to San Diego.
Yep.
So our sea day was Pirate Night. That was also again at Tiana's. So we had it Tiana's twice in a row, although different menus. We did enjoy, in air quotes, partake of, we'll say, the Pirate Night menu, which was it's
okay.
It's changed a bit. I know that they've revamped it in the last year or so. I've heard from some folks that we've listened to some podcasts and other things that it's a little better than it used to be, but it's still not maybe up to par as some of the regular rotational menus. But it is a thing.
Yeah.
That night, I have no clue.
It's a seagull.
It's a seagull?
Yeah.
What? How do you...
It's a seagull. It has little tiny
Sure.
stubby wings, but yes, it's a seagull.
Okay, that's what's throwing me off because the wings are about, I don't know, 10% of the size that they should be.
Yeah, they're tiny wings.
Okay, got it.
Hummingbird?
Seagull.
I don't know.
It's just something.
Yeah. I know we got off the boat in Cabo the next day.
We just walked around.
We just walked around, and I see we went to the bar we were at the prior cruise just for a couple of drinks. We did not go crazy.
No. Again, remember, detox cruise.
Yeah. Just walked around the area there in Cabo. It was nice.
Mm-hmm. We saw a gigantic private motor yacht that had a garage on the side of the boat that had another boat in it.
Boat. Yeah.
This was insane.
This is called the Java.
Yeah. It was a slow day in Cabo. We just kind of enjoyed walking around, and I think we did a little bit of window shopping here and there and just really kind of relaxed.
Yeah.
We enjoyed the sunset, and we're supposed to get going and didn't. And so it was really weird because typically when you're leaving Cabo, the ship leaves kind of early, like mid-afternoon, like 3:30, 3:45, 4 o'clock, something like that. And we left much later. Alicia, what's the story with that?
Well, I was looking through some Facebook posts, and I noticed we had a picture also of a door or ramp, or I don't know what this is, a ladder of the ship. So according to the Facebook post, we ended up leaving port around 3 hours later than initially planned because a galley ramp or door would not close. And the story is they had to hire local welders to fix it. That's basically
I don't know about
what
having
happened.
to hire. Oh, there was another boat that came over.
Yeah.
We were like right above it where it was they were having the issues. So
there was obviously enough noise going on that we were like looking over the side of the boat, like what's going on? What are they doing? So
yeah. Well, and we hadn't left, which was also kind of weird.
Yeah.
I do remember that when we did leave, because we had several hours to catch up, the captain dropped the hammer on the throttles. And the Disney Wonder is rated at a top end of 24 knots. And we hit every single one of those on the way out of Cabo, including around the corner. I remember because you go south a little bit out of the bay, and then you have to go around the rocks and take a right turn and go north. And I remember taking that turn around the point, and the ship was like listing because he didn't want to slow down. It was just drop the hammer and go. And we just kind of peeled out around the corner. It was quite impressive for a ship that big to be going that fast.
And you took video of this. There's video of us. Like, you can see the curve. You can, in the water, you can see the turn that we made.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of comments about how shaky the boat was that evening, just the vibrations throughout. And somebody noted that the ship had to use all 5 of the engines. And normally it's a 2-engine use.
Right, because normally they don't need, it's a diesel electric, so they have big diesel motors to generate electricity, to turn electric motors that turn the props. And typically they can run the ship on 2 or 3 of the engines, and they fired them all up. And then, those propellers were spinning something fierce.
Yeah.
And it was a little bit bumpy coming out around the turn there, but it was fun.
Yeah. That evening, we went over to the nightclub to spend some time over there, have some fun. I have a picture of Joe, who was the nightclub host. I don't know if that is.
Yeah, she was the club host.
Yeah, she's the club host. And we have our tiny TARDIS with us because tiny TARDIS goes on all of our adventures with us. Sometimes I take pictures and post them. Sometimes I do not. But tiny TARDIS was there, and Joe's from England, so she's like, "You have a TARDIS," and she was very enraptured with TARDIS. So,
yeah, we had dinner at Triton's that night.
Yes.
This is the one evening that we got Triton's on the cruise, and that was another good Triton's meal, as they typically are.
I had to get my brie.
That's right. And then the towel animal that night. What?
It's a giraffe. You were right. It's a giraffe. Elephants do not have necks that long.
No, but giraffes don't have ears that big either. Like, this thing looks, it's like the
Those
head.
They're too small to be elephant ears.
It's the head of an elephant without a trunk, but with a long neck. Like, it's
a jellyphant.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A giraffe.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. The next day was our last day on the cruise.
This day we did have to pack.
And we had to get it in somewhere in the trip. This was the day that we did our chocolate and liquor tasting.
Yes. I love this option. It is so
deliciousness.
Good. We've talked about it on several other episodes, so we won't drain that here. But, oh, yeah. If there's one adult beverage tasting you're going to do on a Disney cruise, make sure you do the chocolate and liquor tasting. It is fantastic.
We had dinner at Palo that evening.
Mm-hmm.
And more time at Cadillac because we love Cadillac.
Yeah. I think we closed it.
Probably.
I remember correctly.
Saying goodbye to everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, we got back to San Diego the next morning. I think we had a nice leisurely, getting off the ship as late as possible, and then taking a taxi over to the airport. And we had an early afternoon flight home.
Yep.
Another beautiful trip up the West Coast, and taking pictures of all the volcanoes and everything along the way is my favorite pastime. Mm-hmm. And that was 11 nights on the Wonder. I'm sure my parents were so glad to have us home and to tag team and take care of the kids again. But it was a really fantastic break from reality and a chance to, meet new lifelong friends. And I'm so thankful that we did this trip.
I love the Wonder so much. And I mean, it's our favorite ship. And I really do like these West Coast cruises. It is so easy to get down there.
Yep.
And just enjoy, right?
Yeah. It is the reason that I could see us eventually moving and living in Florida so we could do Florida rate last minute cruises of just, it's just really easy to just get on a boat and go and have a good time. this is as close as we're going to get for now is a West Coast cruise. And frankly, I'm really excited for the next several years because it looks like Disney Cruise Line is going to have a boat here on the West Coast, either sailing out of Vancouver, BC, doing the Alaska itineraries, or sailing out of San Diego and doing stuff down the West Coast of Mexico. Obviously, there will be a few Hawaii itineraries and whatnot thrown in here and there, but having a cruise ship here on the West Coast, I'm just so excited about.
I wonder if they'll continue with the Sydney cruises. It'll be interesting to see how well those do.
Yeah. I do know Bill and Rachel are scheduled to be on the return cruise in, I believe it's February or March of 2024. They are sailing from Sydney back to Hawaii. And I'm lined up to work from Florida for that month and hang out with my best friend, Abby, the pit bull. And I'm very much looking forward to that. But I have a funny feeling that those itineraries will happen again. What I'm not so sure of is with which ship they will be done. We're getting to a point where Disney has the two original classic ships that are coming up on 20 or 25 years old at this point.
Yeah.
They've got the Disney Fantasy and the Dream, and they've got 3 more coming, the Wish, the Treasure, and To Be Named. So that's 7. And then they just bought another one, the Global Dream, that was basically went into bankruptcy, the cruise ship company that was building it. And DCL bought that shell and is going to Disneyfy it and sell that in the likely in the Asian market is kind of what everybody believes is going to happen. Disney has said they're not going to be sailing that ship out of the domestic U.S. market. So I mean, all signs point to it being an Asian market sailing. So what does Asian market mean? Does that mean that we'll be going down to the South Pacific, or is it? I mean, we will just have to see what happens.
Wait and
there.
see.
Indeed.
I do wonder what will happen, because eventually the Magic and the Wonder are going to have to be scrapped. I guess they're just not going to be seaworthy at some point. I wonder.
I have no idea. I have no idea what like the expected lifespan of a modern cruise ship is, though. I mean,
I think
it's not like they're falling apart right now.
No, that's true, and they do a very good job of putting them in dry dock and refreshing and doing what's needed.
Right.
But I think they're coming pretty close to expected lifespan, and I do wonder if they will make more to replace those two. And if they do, this is all just me guessing and throwing stuff out there, but if they do, I wonder if they will keep the smaller ship size, because those ships are so beloved. They really are, having a smaller size like that. They're always full.
Yeah. It's return on investment though. Like,
I know.
Like, I don't know. I could easily see them in the next 5 years retiring the Magic and the Wonder and keeping it a 6-boat fleet with the new one that they just, bought for the Asian market.
I guess it all depends on the consumers, on if they continue to book and continue to sail. And I know eventually the Magic and Wonder will go away, and I will be very sad when that happens.
I think a lot of people will.
Yeah.
But I think the reality is I don't know that Disney can fill 10 sailings a week.
That's what I was saying. Would they keep the smaller ones in order to make sure they get filled?
I doubt it, because I think you can... I don't think the cost of a cruise ship and the cost of running a cruise ship that is the Disney Wonder size versus the Disney Fantasy size is like, there's a base cost in there in terms of fuel, in terms of in terms of manpower, that you're much better off squeezing more guests onto that base cost, right? I know you have to scale up your serving staff. You have to scale up your housekeeping staff as you get more rooms. But it's not like they have like 3 club hosts on the bigger ships because there's more. They don't. Like it's just it's the same amount of overhead, if you will, to a certain degree. So I don't like it, but my business degree brain says I think they will retire the Magic and the Wonder at some point in the next decade, and they will not replace them. The replacements for the Magic and the Wonder are the Dream and Fantasy, and that is what it will be.
Well,
I hate that.
It will be interesting. Yeah, I do too. It will be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, I want to be wrong.
What do you think? What do you think it'll be like? 5? Obviously, next 10 years, definitely, but maybe in the next 5 years.
Well,
because they'll be done with the Treasure and whatever the third ship is, and they should be done with the Global Dream, whatever they decide to rename it by that time.
The Treasure's supposed to come out in 2024. So it's the Wish, the Treasure, and then Unnamed. Mm-hmm. The Treasure comes out in 2024, and if my memory is correct, that Unnamed ship comes out in 2025.
Okay.
And they've said the shell that they just bought from the Global Dream that they're going to rework. It's like 75% completed, and they got to redesign some things and Disneyfy it. But they're expecting that to launch in 2025 as well. So I think we're 3 years away from being a full fleet. I could see the Magic and Wonder going away in the next 5 years, potentially. I hate that. Yep. I love those ships. I love that size of ship.
Yep.
But I don't think they're going to stay around. Like I said, please, Disney Cruise Line, please prove me wrong. Yes. I want to be wrong, but practically, I don't think I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Well, on that lovely positive note,
we digressed a bit, but that's okay.
We did.
Yep.
But this is the story of when we met Bill and Rachel and had an amazing week and a half, really, on the Disney Wonder. And you know what, Alicia? We're just going to have to do this again.
Okay.
Before the Wonder goes away.
Yeah.
We'll have to back. So, we missed an opportunity. We could have done it back to back.
We could have.
Clearly, this is what our calling is at this point.
Yes. And it's nice on the Wonder because the Wonder doesn't do 7 day, 7 day, 7 day, 7 day, 7 day when it is over on the West Coast. It does a mix of 7, 4, 5, 3, 2, all of them. So it makes it much easier to do a back to back.
Right. I mean, maybe we have to do in Alaska and then the repo down the West Coast and then a couple things down into the Mexican Riviera. I mean, who knows? We might have to spend like a month on the ship. It's content. It's research. It's content. If we made any money at this whole podcast thing, that would be a great business write-off, but we don't.
We don't.
And so, I can't really claim a business expense for something that isn't the business. So
Nope.
If anybody wants to pay us to do all this stuff, I will gladly file the taxes as required. But
we're happy
until
to
that
do
point,
reviews.
Yeah, exactly. Anywho, we thank you all for listening to our ramblings. Just a reminder, we are not affiliated with Disney or Disney Cruise Line. And while we have our thoughts and opinions, we really recommend that you work with a travel agent to really plan your perfect vacation.
If you have any questions or suggestions, send an email to podcast@adventuresandmousecapades.com. You can follow us on socials @OurMousecapades. And please take a moment, rate and review us in your podcast app so you can help people find us.
Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you for flying Star Tours. Bye-bye.